Hi, this is Ted with PackRatings.com. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my ideas for a home hygiene prep. Hygiene and sanitation, often overlooked because it's the least exciting part of prepping. Obviously, the knives and guns and survival tools are the most exciting, but dealing with poop and germs, you know, probably what's going to end up killing the most people if there's a disaster. So let's kind of look at some of the ideas I had, and you guys can let me know where I got it right, and more importantly, where I'm getting it wrong. Uh, Obviously, there's going to be 20 things I'll overlook and 10 things that could be done much better than what I've found. So please let me know. I'm looking for constructive criticism. I'll go ahead and give you the disclaimer. I haven't bought any of this stuff yet. I can't afford to just, go and spend, money on things two, three, four times. I need to really plan everything out and make sure that I buy things once and buy what I need and use my money wisely. So that's the idea. I'm sharing my plan, and hopefully, I'll get some good feedback. Then I'll adjust my plan, and then I'll start buying. So keep that in mind. So first, the luggable loo. If the plumbing goes out and you don't have water, or water's too valuable to flush down a toilet, you got to start thinking about that type of thing. Depending upon your elevation, if you're at the bottom of a hill and you have a lot of neighbors up above you at the top of the hill, well, guess whose plumbing's going to back up first? So you got to think about those types of things and what you're going to do in those scenarios. And this is a good way to bag up your waste and make sure that you have an option and that you can take care of things in a sanitary fashion. Garbage bags. You can't just count on the half a box that you always have in your garage. You're going to need a lot more when you can't run to the store. That's typically when you're going to need a lot more. So you got to stockpile those. And they have a lot of good uses. Toilet paper. That's one thing that, I just don't know if what you do in an urban environment without that. It's I suppose you could try to find other paper sources, but I imagine toilet paper is something you want to stockpile. I've looked at a lot of options for soap, and the one thing that keeps coming back to me is that it takes me forever to work through a bar of soap. But I will go through one of those hand pumps of gel soap and liquid soap. I'll go through one of those a week. So, I could get a 6 pack of bars of soap and be good for months. So I'm thinking bar soap over liquid soap. Then, of course, you have to keep your soap clean. So at least the one that you have open at the time. So one of these soap cases, in case I need to move around, I can bring my soap with me and not make a big mess. Ziploc bags, another must have. I mean, you can use these things as gloves. If you find berries along the road, you can use it to store food you pick. Need to store leftovers for dinner, from lunch. This is a way to do it. It's probably a million uses for these things. And then, of course, showering. I can't survive without a shower. I gotta have a solution. It's just how I am. So I've been looking at those options. I don't care if it's cold or not, just so long as I can get clean. And then, of course, you gotta bury it somewhere. And bury what, you might say? Who knows? It might be the neighbor's cat that died in your yard. It might be waste. You gotta bury it somewhere. So you need a good shovel that isn't going to fail on you, because you won't be able to run to Home Depot to get a backup one. Then, of course, shaving. You need something that is going to last. And, These type of old-fashioned shavers, man, they last forever. You can use those things for a long, long time, as long as you keep them dry and keep them clean. Haircuts, beard trimming, stuff like that. You gotta consider it, because if you get a bunch of burrs in your hair, you want to not have, in a time of a disaster when you can't get help, you don't want to get lice, you don't want to get fleas, and so keeping your hair short, keeping yourself clean is important, because those types of pests, I mean, they carry other diseases, they cause other problems. You really just want to avoid that kind of stuff. And then, of course, cleaning water, looking at a lot of options. And, I think the most sensible one is, something like one of these base camp filters. The problem with this type of water filter is that it won't clean up chemicals. See, this is a biological filter, and most of these camping, backpacking ones are just biological filters. So they won't get rid of pesticides, they won't get rid of poisons. If there's gasoline and oil in the water, these camping filters aren't going to help you much. So you have to take that into consideration. This one doesn't do it. But this one does filter a lot of water all at one go. You can load it up and go do something else. And that's what I like about it. The downside is every 200 gallons, you got to replace the filter. So we'd be looking at replacement filters too. I'm not thrilled about that, so I'm still trying to figure out a better way. Then bleach tabs. These things, I saw them and said, wow, that's, a lot of money for just, 4 little sheets of tabs. But when I really thought about it, I mean, there are 10 of these bleach tabs per card, and each little tab produces a gallon of high quality bleach solution. So each card is 10 gallons. And so what you're getting here is 40 gallons of bleach solution. And, I've been to the store, I've seen the gallon of bleach, going for, $2 and change, maybe a dollar and change when it's on sale. But I mean, that's still $80 for, 40 gallons of bleach. And this is so much smaller, so much lighter. 40 gallons, $25. Then, of course, you need a canister for holding a gallon of that bleach solution at a time. And you need to make sure it doesn't get mistaken for your potable water, because that would be dangerous. So I figured, getting a 1-gallon gas can for holding concentrated bleach. Toothbrushes, gonna need those. Toothpaste. You'll probably want to stock up on some towels, because it's going to be hard to keep those sanitary without laundry. So you're going to need extra. Don't have a photo here, but there's a Wonder Wash. It's a hand crank washing machine. It's just a little ball, and you put your water, detergent in, and clothes, and you spin it around a few times and it washes. Wonder Wash is a good option. If you visit my website, I'll have a photo of it up there, but it's a good one. And then, of course, the portable sink for washing dishes. It does have a battery-powered sprayer for being able to get debris off of plates. Operates on 4D batteries. Not a big fan of that. I suppose you could just hand wash and scrub, which might be a cheaper, lighter way to go. So I'm on the fence about that too. And then the rechargeable power cartridge. And I know what you're saying, if the power's out, how's that going to work? Well, and my other kits, you'll see that I'm thinking about off-grid power too. So this kind of went in line with the notion that I would have off-grid power. And then a hygiene sink. You want to have your personal hygiene basin be different than your food prep basins, because you're really going to share a lot of germs in a personal hygiene basin, and you want to take extra care regularly cleaning this and not be spilling your personal hygiene into your food prep area. Got to keep it separate. This is a good organized way to do it. I'm not sold that this is the exact solution, but I like the idea of keeping personal hygiene and KP in separate spaces, especially if you have multiple people. Hot water. This thing works on a battery and propane. It's pretty awesome. It can deliver, boiling hot water for cooking or heated showers. It's pretty fantastic. So if you have propane, this thing is pretty cool. So if you're without power for, a few weeks, this thing could be a real luxury. If you're without power and propane forever, well, this obviously is limited use. And then, of course, this piece, which is multi-purpose, this is the adapter so that you could fit the large 5-gallon propane tanks to the hot water heater or other Coleman gear like the propane space heater and their camp stoves. This little cord is huge because it lets you buy in bulk on propane and not have to buy those tiny $6 canisters all the time and be changing them out all the time. Also gives you the option to use both. And then, of course, I think most preppers forget about this. You're going to have food prep, and there's going to be bugs, especially when you don't have refrigeration. There's always flies, especially fruit flies if you have fruit and vegetables out in the open. And you got to stay on top of keeping those things at bay, because if it gets out of control, I mean, you're just going to have to move. So stock up on fly paper. You put up 2 of these in your food prep area and you're golden. Each one of these can catch 1,000 flies, and they're so fantastic at it. So, fly paper, you need it. You're going to need some good gloves. You'll probably want an apron because, again, there's going to be things you don't want to touch. And while you're at it, you might as well get one that's good for using around the embers of a campfire. So like a nice welding apron. They're not much more expensive, but they're rated for metal slag coming off of a welding iron. And then terry towels for cleaning, things like that. Obviously, these will only last you a while, but get a couple 24 packs and they'll last you a long while. And then a fire can, because in a disaster, what we saw in Katrina was the garbage piled up and piled up and piled up. So you need a can that's designed for burning trash. You don't want to have an open trash burn near your house. You got to keep it contained, because the last thing you want to do in a disaster is burn your house down. And with trash piles, oftentimes there's embers and stuff that can just fly up in the air. So, you need to be able to burn, put a lid on it if necessary to keep those embers from flying all over the place. Another thing you need to keep in mind is don't burn plastic. Plastic's recyclable. It does no harm to anybody to just stockpile it under a tarp in the corner of your yard until recycling is back online. You might end up needing the plastic for something in the future. If you're planning on making a spring garden, just put the plastic where you plan to plant and it'll kill off the weeds until you do. Just don't burn plastic. Plus, if you only burn biodegradable stuff, the paper, food, stuff like that, the neighbor's dead cat, stuff like that, the ash is great for composting. So you can make nitrogen-rich soil by only burning biodegradable stuff. And then if you do have off-grid power, these little spin dryers are pretty impressive. They're high RPM. They just squeeze the water out of wet clothes. And this allows you to just hang dry everything without having to expend a lot of effort wringing out the clothes to make sure they don't mildew and mold. And eventually, you know, you'll mess up and not get something as good as you should, and you'll destroy the article of clothing, because once it's mildewed, it's almost impossible to undo that. Um, but you can use something like this to spin dry if you do have off-grid power. Well, that's my thoughts and ideas on hygiene and sanitation. So let me know what you think. Let me know what I missed. Let me know what I could do better. I'd love to hear from you. So leave me some comments. I'll leave a link to this list and below, and it'll have links to everything and all the photos. And again, my website is packratings.com, and I hope you enjoyed the video.